to the trustee category. This category is one for, I think, for the unsung heroes. When people sign up to volunteer, they often want to get out there and help people and, you know, face-to-face, hands-on work. It's less attractive sometimes for people to sit on a board of trustees. But I know from, you know, being the chief officer of PAVs, that we just really couldn't function without without our fantastic trustee board. And I know that's the same for many other organisations across Pembrokeshire. So I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my trustees for all their efforts and hard work. It's not always easy, and you know, you have to make the tough decisions, but we couldn't function without you, and that goes across the whole of the voluntary sector. So this is very much for those unsung heroes, and we have 5 finalists here. We have Dennis O'Connor from Patch. I think, oh, there we go. So Dennis from Patch. We have Emma James from the DPJ Foundation, Maggie Moss from Span Arts, Sue Whitbread from Theatre Gwine, and Paul Sartori Foundation Board of Trustees. So we're now, I think, going to hear from each of the nominators.
My nomination for Den, he's our chairman and has been a volunteer for over 8 years. So the trustees invited him to become a trustee, and very soon after that our chair had to step down and suddenly Den was chair. And he has been, I think, for about 7-8 years now. Trustees meetings are known to be boring and not much fun at all. That isn't the Patch trustees meetings. We laugh all the time. You know, it's serious business and sometimes horrible things have to be discussed. You know, the nature of our job means that we encounter horrible situations, and you know, that's done with professionalism. But the support I get from Den, especially when we're dealing with horrible situations, I can phone him anytime and he'd back me up. Sometimes the trustees do disagree with me, which is shocking, but Den is so kind and gentle in the way that he puts things over to me, and so I calm down. You know, I think trustees' roles are very, very difficult, but Den is made more difficult because he has to look after and support me. You know, he supports me through the temper tantrums and he supports me through the good times as well. And he is so loved by all of the volunteers, and he's someone that's known that he will get in there and do the work. He's not just making all the decisions. And basically we all just love him.
I've nominated Emma James, who is chair of the DPJ Foundation, for the Trustee Board Award. And I've nominated Emma because I think Emma has led a process of transforming the governance of the charity and significantly improved its work. The DPJ Foundation was founded in 2017 and worked as a local charity, but its reputation grew very quickly to the point where it's covering the whole of Wales. Initially, it had a fairly informal governance structure, but when Emma joined as a trustee, she, along with other trustees, recognised that this wasn't really a way that was going to work moving forward, therefore started, under Emma's leadership as chair, on a process of transforming the way of working. So some of the activities that Emma has led as instigating a process of transforming board membership. We undertook a skills audit and then advertised to bring in people with those skills in order to lead the charity going forward. We've employed a charity manager. Emma ran a recruitment process which was done entirely online, totally reviewed our policies and procedures to ensure they meet good practice. In order to ensure openness and transparency, we held a virtual AGM during the summer when everybody was in lockdown. So Emma organised and led that process, which attracted a number of people from across Wales. Emma's been totally committed to putting the DPJ Foundation on a sound footing. Some of her key skills are an ability to use the skills and advice of other trustees, a willingness to ask if she doesn't know something, a readiness to undertake any task that is needed, and she always follows through when agrees to do something, and she's very sensitive to the views and feelings of others. The process of change over the past period has involved making some very difficult decisions, and Emma has always been willing to step up and make those difficult decisions, but done it in a very appropriate way and communicated in a sensitive manner with everybody involved. In addition to her role as chair and trustee, Emma continues to volunteer on the Share the Load project, and she's even cycled the tour of Pembrokeshire to raise money for charity. Emma will often say that trustees need to undertake the boring work to enable other volunteers to do more enjoyable and exciting activities that the charity undertakes. But it's rare that anybody outside the organisation will know about or appreciate work to draft and comment on policies, undertake skills audits, and developing induction processes. However, Emma's work over the past year will ensure that the life-changing work of the DPJ Foundation to help those suffering from mental health issues in the agricultural community will continue for years to come. I would thank Emma for everything she's done.
I'm Siobhan, and I'm the volunteer manager at Span Arts, which is a arts charity in Pembrokeshire. I'd really like to nominate for the PAVS 2020 Volunteer Awards, Maggie Moss, who is a very long-standing volunteer at Span. It's her commitment, her diligence, and her caring influence, music, theatre, as well as arts and wellbeing projects to Pembrokeshire for the past 30 years. And I'm nominating Maggie because she has actually decided to stand down as trustee this year. Maggie was part of the team who brought the Narberth Children's Festival in the 90s. She has been part of the committee with the Narberth A Cappella Festival, all Span events, and she was in fact part of the team of people who created Span as a charity all those decades ago. So she really has been a force in championing the arts, contributed to the regeneration of Narberth, as well as just championing the arts throughout Pembrokeshire. So we have a lot to thank Maggie for, and she's always there, as well as doing all these sort of organisational things. She's also always there on the box office and volunteering on the box office for every event. So Span Arts would like to give a very heartfelt thank you to Maggie. Maggie certainly is committed to the organisation, there to support the staff and to steer the organisation for the benefit of the community and champion all the different, users of that organisation. And Maggie certainly did that. On behalf of Span Arts, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you to you, Maggie, for all the decades of work you have done for the arts in Pembrokeshire. You've given lots of people a really good time and inspired people and made a real difference. Thank you.
We've got 10 trustees, and they are people who live within the community of Pembrokeshire. Got amazing skills and knowledge that they bring to Port Tory. Our trustees are flexible. They are prepared to get their hands dirty and get involved. But then there's a fine line of stepping back and letting the managers do what they're paid to do. They read the papers. They share their knowledge. They talk about the hospice at home service with passion, understanding, with knowledge. They're there for us. That if there was ever anything we wanted to discuss or anything I was unsure about, or the senior management team are unsure about, they're at the end of the phone for us to talk to. They're truly dedicated, and they do whatever it takes and whatever's needed. And I think that flexibility is the key to being a trustee, and understanding their responsibilities. So understanding that they are responsible for the strategy, they're responsible for the financial governance of the charity, and they're responsible for the safeguarding of the charity. And I think our board are very, very, very well aware of that, and they take that responsibility very seriously. I think for many of us, everything changed at the beginning of the year, didn't it? It changed very quickly, with very little notice. The government made notices, made announcements, changed policies very, very quickly. And for us, it felt like that we were driving a bus at about 100 miles an hour and we're changing the wheels at the same time. It was vital for post-Tory services to continue, to make sure that we could help people get out of hospital and die at home with their families. So our board set up a COVID-19 executive committee, which met once a week with the senior managers. They helped by reading legislation, reading the papers along with the senior team, so that when we were talking about the decisions we were making, everybody was up to speed, we knew what was happening. So when furlough happened, we all had a sense check. So they've all been vital in making sure the charity could continue. And on top of that, they've made sure that the volunteers who could no longer support post-Tory, we've kept in contact with them. So the chair has written letters to the volunteers, so they've kept everybody engaged. The trustees have also set up meetings, open staff meetings, so that staff could join and ask questions and share ideas to make sure that post-Tory has been working effectively as possible throughout the pandemic. There are unsung heroes. They have so much skill, so much knowledge. They're an amazing bunch of people. They work incredibly well together, and I don't think that many people see what they do behind closed doors. The hours that they put into meetings, into reading papers, into making sure that the charity is safe and secure is phenomenal. And I think, I see it personally, and on behalf of myself and the staff and everybody at post-Tory, I would just like to say thank you.
I have nominated Sue Whitbread, who is one of our volunteer trustees, who has also taken on the role of CEO of the theatre. Now, that's an unpaid position. She has done that as a progression, really. She joined as a trustee back in 2018, has an absolute amazing, she's a powerhouse of business knowledge because of her history, because of what she's done in the past. So she's brought all of that into the theatre and did loads and loads of work as a trustee, bringing in particularly grant funding and things like that for various projects. We've done children's film projects. We've had lots more groups able to use the theatrical space itself because of the funding she's got. We've got people in at the moment who are fixing our boiler because we finally got together a big enough package to replace the boiler completely in the theatre. And she's achieved all of this in a very short space of time. And then she decided to take on, like I say, the CEO role. Now, one of the things that Sue's really good at is retaining bigger picture. She tends not to get lost in what's going on the ground level. So she's got this real vision for our future, this vision for where we can be and what we can develop into, and who we can be within the community, how we can support Fishguard. And it's all that kind of energy that was really, really building and working so well with the team, the staff team and the volunteer team to get all of these visions for the future together. And then spring hit this year and COVID hit this year and everything had to shut. And genuinely, that could have meant the end of Theatr Gwaun. We could have lost everything. But she was straight on it with the grant funding. She was straight on it with sorting out the furloughs for the staff team, continuing to get resilience grants in, things that just keep us ticking over, that mean that we're coming out of this awful period strong. So we can do this, we can evolve, we can make all the changes and put all the COVID precautions in place because she's gone out and got this grant funding for us. So very genuinely, I don't think we'd have a theatre now without her. And she is one of these, you have to meet her to believe her. She's quite a small lady, but the energy, wowzers, you feel it when she walks in a room and she just picks people up and she carries them along with her in that whole bubbling, creative, we can do this, we can do that. And it just keeps that straight line focus that you need. We have phenomenal volunteers. We have phenomenal history of trustees that have achieved brilliant, brilliant things for our community theatres over the year. But right now, we wouldn't be here without Sue. So she is our shining star of the moment. So when I saw this nomination come up, I was like, we can't not put her forward. We can't not, because we'd so totally be lost without her. Sue is engaged every day with us. Her drive is absolutely phenomenal. She puts in full-time hours pretty much. And whilst you can't expect that from everybody, I think it makes her really, really stand out. Our trustees they've got this amazing sweep of knowledge. So most of the trustee board have targeted things that they are really good at, and they support the theatre in all kinds of different ways. But as a member of the staff team, having Sue there, and there physically as well a lot of the time, has really, really made a difference. I would say, Sue Whitbread, I'm really sorry for nominating you. I know this isn't your favourite thing, because I know you don't like being in the limelight, but you deserve the biggest show of gratitude, and all of the staff team and the board of trustees and everyone was behind me in nominating you for this. So just a massive, massive thank you.
That was fantastic. And we heard 5 different stories there about trustees, and it really makes you realise the importance of the work that trustee boards do behind the scenes. And actually, I know that I think it was Tracy that said, that people sometimes think, that trustee meetings can be boring. I think from what we've just heard, it sounds as if they can also be fascinating and, really energising. So hopefully it might persuade a few more people to come forward and join trustee boards across Pembrokeshire. Another really tough decision for the panel, but I'm pleased to announce that the winner of the trustee category in the Pembrokeshire Volunteer Awards 2020 is Maggie Moss of Span Arts. So fantastic, just in terms of, I think the panel were really struck by not just what she's achieved, but the amount of time and complete, almost like a lifetime commitment to Span Arts. So well done, Maggie. And I don't know, Maggie, if you're on the call.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry about that. And thank you so much for the award. I'm somewhat lost for words, but I think you're a delightful host. And thanks for the nomination, Siobhan and Span Arts. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for absolutely everything you've done for Span Arts. And I think the point was very well made that it's not just about Span. It's not just about Span. It's wider in terms of Narberth and regeneration of Narberth. So so very well done.